Hey there, I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate.
And today we're taking a look at Escape from the Asylum Part 1 and 2 by Lifestyle Board Games.
Escape from the Asylum is an escape room board game in which you are trying to escape from an asylum. And this is going to take place in 2 different parts, as you can see here. 10 different chapters, if you will, of this game that each take about an hour or so long, so 10 hours altogether. It tells the story of several different characters. Their stories intertwine. Tells one overall arcing story here. We'll get into some of the gameplay, but we're not going to spoil anything in this video. We'll do our best to give you a good idea of how this escape room plays and how it's different from all the other escape room games out there. This is running on Kickstarter, so we want to make sure to let you know to check out that Kickstarter campaign, visiting that link down below in the description of this video. Before we get into this, Sam, I want to ask you, what were your initial thoughts when you saw Escape from the Asylum?
In general, escape room type games are going to be easy for Lance to get me to play. So I was excited about it. I like the idea of trying to solve riddles and codes and things like that. And I did like in this specific game, every answer is a 4-digit code. And it just kind of, you would think it sounds like it would make it easier. It doesn't, but at least you kind of go in knowing what you're looking for each time.
Okay. So some anticipation of a pretty good experience here. So let's go ahead and show you how this game works. Again, we're not going to spoil any of the puzzles for you, but give you a decent idea of how this game works. And then we'll come back and share our thoughts on this. All right, I have Escape from the Asylum on the table here. And I'm going to show you guys how this game works. Not going to spoil anything, so don't worry about that. But I am only able to show you so much, so I'm not going to be able to go over everything in this segment of the video. And if you would like to not even have the brief overview of how this game works, then just go ahead and skip this part of the video and move on forward to our thoughts. But as you can see, this is a game that is separated into 2 different parts. You've got part 1 over here on the left and part 2. And both of them fit into this sleeve here. And so that way you can keep it on the shelf together there. So you can see that it has the artwork from both the first and second part on the sleeve there. And so, without further ado, let me show you how this game works. You're going to have a deck of cards, quite a hefty deck of cards here, that all have 4-digit numbers on the backs of the cards here. And so they are put in numerical order to begin with. And to start the very first mission, you are going to read the top card. And so you can see here that there are 5 missions in each part. So 5 for part 1 and 5 for part 2. And each one that you are going to start, you read the 0, 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 card to start that particular chapter. And it will tell you what to do next. And so you'll read through the storyline and it'll say go to card 1584, for instance. This right here is going to be your timesheet, and it's going to keep track of your score. You'll write down at what time that you start the particular mission and then the time that you end the mission. So there is no, you've got 60 minutes to complete this campaign or whatever. You're encouraged to try to beat 60 minutes, but that's not, you're not tied directly to 60 minutes. Then you'll obviously write down the time that it took you to do it. And anytime that you flip over a card that happens to not be the card that you need, that's considered an error, and it's a 1-minute deduction or addition to your time. And then if you have to use any hints, you're going to get a 1-minute addition for hint 1 and a 2-minute addition for hint 2. And should you need the solution, then that's 3 minutes. And then you'll add it all together to figure out your total time. And right here, you're going to see the different hint decks. So you've got hint 1, hint 2, and the solution. And you have to do these in order. You can't just say, well, I don't want the hint 1, I got to go to hint 2. Or just give me the solution. You've got to do them in order. Now, this is going to be the evacuation plan, or the map of where you're at. And I'm using the map to cover up this deck of cards right here because I don't even want to show you the numbers on these cards, because these cards are going to be cards that you swap out for some of the cards in this deck. And so this becomes part of the choose your own adventure way that this game works. Depending on some of the choices that you make going through this deck, it will have you swap out these cards, and it'll change up the storyline a little bit, and you'll get a different experience depending on the choices that you make. So I don't even want to show you the numbers on those cards. The last thing I'm going to show you are these envelopes, and this top one is not going to spoil anything because this is just the one that you start off with. But these envelopes are different rooms that you see on this map here. And there are going to be puzzles and things you have to figure out just looking at the envelope, and different codes that you'll have to break in order to open the envelope to see what's inside. And the envelopes represent the different rooms, so opening the envelope is like going into the room to discover what's in the next room. Really cool stuff here working through these envelopes. Anyhow, the idea is to work through the particular mission in a certain amount of time, trying to do it as quickly as you can to move on to the next mission. And that's what I've got for you here with Escape from the Asylum. Let's go back up top and share our thoughts on this one. All right, we're back. And now we're going to share our thoughts on Escape from the Asylum. And before I get too far into that, Sam, I just want to ask, because, you know, each escape room game does it a little different. There are different rules or ideas behind what you're trying to accomplish. And as you mentioned at the beginning of this video, you're trying to find 4 digits to get the next card, to figure out the combination, or the lock or the riddle or whatever. And so learning this game and trying to wrap your mind around it, what was that like as a non-gamer?
I mean, I think for escape rooms, it really is just such a different genre of games that the non-gamer versus gamer aspect isn't too much of a deal. I really liked how they put this game together. I like that all the answers are in this one deck and you have to find them, and sometimes you're switching cards and things like that. But I really liked this game. We're kind of on an escape room kick right now, and we've played some great ones. I like when it guides you to, here's a puzzle, figure it out, versus here's the entire game.
Yeah.
Go where you think you need to go. And some people may like that because they get more freedom, and they kind of get to make the game as short or as long or as difficult as they want it to be. But I appreciate a game that kind of guides you to where you need to go. But the puzzles are difficult. They were very, very hard. I really, as many as me and Lance have done, I didn't think we'd be using the hints, but we did have to a few times.
Yeah. So I think kind of what you're getting at there is the sandbox nature of some of the escape room games out there. This is not like that. This is very much, here's the situation, figure out the answer, and not, do you want to go here? Yeah. That is very much the case in this game. Now, that being said, you mentioned there for just a little bit that you do swap out some of the cards in the deck. So there is a little bit of a choose your own way kind of adventure, like those choose your own adventure books that switch up the storyline a little bit.
Yeah, if you make one choice versus another, but it doesn't, it's not so many choices.
Making one choice doesn't completely take you away from figuring out everything else. So what did you think? You mentioned the difficulty level there. You said that that this is pretty difficult. We did have to use the hints. I found that one chapter would maybe be on a scale of 1 to 10. It might be like a 3. And then the next chapter might be a 7 or an 8. Yeah. I found the chapters to be very wide ranging in difficulty. Did you agree with that?
Yeah, there's a very wide range, which I think is a good thing. You may play one and think, oh, well, I got that, and your confidence is high. And then you play the next one and you're like, nope, we sure don't. but it's lots of variety.
Yeah, I would definitely agree with that. This game ranges from, I wouldn't say simplistic, but definitely entry level of escape room kind of games and the puzzles involved in that, all the way to, oh my goodness, that is extremely difficult. So you're going to find something that is going to be challenging to you and also going to be enjoyable to you with this game. And the fact that you get 10 chapters, I keep calling them chapters, I don't know, missions or whatever. There's a lot of content in this.
Yeah.
You know, it's over 10 hours worth if you think about that.
There's a lot of reading to it, which is not the case for every escape room that we've played. And it's not a bad thing at all, just something to be noted.
Yeah, there is a lot of reading, but I think the story is captivating. It's interesting. It's definitely, it intertwines, like I mentioned, and you want to find out all these different characters, what's happening here. Now, let me ask you the theme and just kind of the spooky darkness nature to that. Was that anything that rubbed you the wrong way, or was it anything that kind of was like, ooh, this is too much?
No, I don't think so. There's definitely not, I mean, I don't want to give anything away. No, I don't think it was too dark. It was creepy. And, you know, Lance is a therapist, so he works
in a mental institute.
Yeah. So, you know, that was kind of funny. But no, it definitely wasn't the theme. I think it still could be very appropriate for younger players as well. Yeah. It's not something that you need to shield from.
Yeah. There's a little bit of foul language in some of them. Not anything huge, not anything big there. Let me bring up the components. And again, I don't want to give any spoilers away, but for me, that was the biggest thing that set this escape room from all the other escape room games out there, are the components in this game. Some of them are just crazy, ridiculously cool and intricate, and not things you would typically find in board games.
Yeah.
What were your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I thought they did a really good job of some of the envelopes that you open. Usually you just look at the envelope first, and the envelope in itself is a clue, and trying to figure that out. And there's sometimes where you're like, oh man, I get it, and you put it together really quickly. And there's sometimes where you just can't get it, and you get that clue, and you're like, oh my goodness, how did I not figure that out? But they've done a great job, and there's a wide range of different types of, you think, okay, everything's a 4-digit code, you know, that's limiting, but it really is impressive how they
came
did
up with some really unique ways to get you to figure out that code using other things. And
it's things that I had never seen before.
Yeah. Just really cool, the thought process that they put into this game. It's quite unique. So I definitely enjoyed my time playing it. There were definitely a few times where I was, dumbfounded and felt like, man, I should have gotten that. And there were a few times where I thought, ooh, man, I could have thought about this for a long time, and I don't know that I ever would have gotten it. But no matter what the case was, I always felt like I want to keep going. I want to find out the next thing, and I want to start the next chapter, and I want to complete this game. And I can honestly say we don't get to complete a whole lot of these kinds of games just because there's so much other games that we have to review. I went through the entire thing on this one. I wanted to know how it ended, and I'm glad I did. A lot of fun with this one. So, Sam, what are your final thoughts on Escape from the Asylum as a non-gamer?
Yeah, it's definitely, it is more mentally challenging than some, but at the same time, I like the guidance that it gives you. I feel like it's not so open as some other ones are. So I feel like it really takes the things that I've liked from other escape rooms and put it into one. I think they did a really great job with it.
There you go. High remarks on Escape from the Asylum from Lifestyle Board Games.
Make sure to like and subscribe and push that bell button so you get notifications of all our new content.
And make sure to check out that Kickstarter campaign page by visiting that link in the description down below. I'm Lance.
I'm Sam.
And we are Love to Hate, where we try to bridge the gap between gamers and non-gamers. We'll catch you next time.